analogy of someone drowning seems appropriate. That can be the trajectory of mental health.
Hi, I'm Dr. Cheryl Goody, the Executive Director at The Family Place, where our mission is to strengthen families and protect children. I'm so grateful for the funding that we have received to be able to produce this video series from the Governor's Suicide Prevention funding from the state of Utah. I'm also thankful for our educators who are going to share some important information with you today. I'm especially thankful for the participants who have come to volunteer and share their stories, to be vulnerable and open with us so that we can continue on our journey. May you be able to connect with them. May some of this information resonate with you, and may you find hope today with us.
Welcome to the Suicide Prevention video series hosted by The Family Place. We're glad that you are here and participating to join us in the battle to be aware of suicide and to know what we can do to hopefully prevent suicide from taking place. We want to thank the individuals that have so courageously shared their stories with us so that we could bring this to you as a community member. We invite you to be able to listen to what they're saying with an open heart, with compassion, with understanding, and hope that you will be able to hear something that you can take away to help you feel confident in your abilities to help somebody that may be struggling, whether that is somebody that is struggling with the thoughts themselves or somebody that knows of another individual that has died by suicide, attempted, or has suicidal thoughts. Suicide is so prevalent. The rate of suicide is very high. According to the CDC, the national average in 2018 was 14.2 suicides per 100,000 individuals. Those statistics indicate that in Utah, that accounts to about 2 deaths every day and 13 individuals that are treated for suicide attempts or suicidal ideation every day. Wherever you may be watching this from, there may be similar statistics in the state, in the community, in the city that you live. We want to be able to help you feel empowered to make an impact for good, to save the lives of those that may be struggling. These statistics can be very startling, and we want to let you know and be aware of that, to not be startled by it, but to know of the real need that exists in our communities, no matter where you are. You may think that suicide or somebody that may struggle with those thoughts is not going to impact me, or you may just hear it in the media, but the reality is that it can affect anyone, and you never know, possibly until it's too late. What we invite you to do is to understand and to be challenged by the idea that in the future, if you haven't already been touched or impacted by somebody that has thought of suicide or attempted or experienced a loss or had those thoughts yourselves, that there may come a day that you may be faced with those very scenarios. We will hear some interviews today that have been shared with us in confidence and helping community members know of their stories. Our main purpose in providing this information, these educational and take-home messages, as well as these interview segments, is to again help you feel empowered, help you feel confident, and understand that no matter what role you have and play an important role in reducing the prevalence of suicide and making an impact in somebody's life that needs you. The other thing that you will see as we present these videos to you are various topics that we will be able to talk about educational skills and information that can help you. We thank you for joining us in this fight to make a difference in the lives that are most important to you, your children, your parents, your siblings, your friends, and your neighbors. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Do I say my age? I'll start over.
Okay.
So we've been here about 15 years. I've spent most of that time teaching in alternative schools and teaching at-risk groups, teaching at the youth center.
I currently am a teacher of English to speakers of other languages and love my job.
I love working with the elderly, and I work at Maple Springs Assisted Living.
I'm sort of a history buff.
I like to read.
I like to follow politics. There's lots of theater there.
I love theater and singing.
I love to sing.
I love to sing and play the piano.
I also teach dance.
I'm a runner and I enjoy running. I did cross country and track.
And coaching soccer.
I'm an attorney. I met my husband while I was in law school and decided he was worth waiting a couple more years for him to graduate. He actually proposed up at the Wind Caves, and that was where we had our first date too.
We just celebrated our 15th wedding anniversary.
We went to San Diego for our honeymoon, and I loved going to Legoland. That was probably like a serious highlight. Just a little kid, so.
My wife and I have 5 kids.
I love being a boy mom. They are awesome and loud, but I love that.
I'm a mother of 3. I also have a big dog.
We have 2 cats. We adore them. They're very spoiled little princesses.
I don't really like to cook.
I love baking.
I'm generally pretty happy and outgoing, so that's me.
Yeah, just having a lot of fun.
And I'm a suicide survivor.
Yeah, suicide has impacted my life in a number of ways. My family, myself as a teacher, and then as a soccer coach. It's amazing how many people you meet and how many friends you have and relationships you have when you're teaching and coaching, right? So we've lost a lot of good, close people to suicide over the years. My sister died by suicide in 2003. She was in Iraq in the Army and saw some things. Definitely, she struggled with what she saw over there. She was in Army intelligence and interrogations, and so yeah, we found out. We didn't know she was in Iraq. We thought she was in Kentucky. We didn't know she'd been deployed. So we get a call that she had died. That was a big shock to our family, to our community. She was a soccer player as well, just one of the best. You know, I got images in my head of her doing things on the soccer field, and and then over the years, I've taught at a lot of alternative schools, taught a lot of at-risk kids and kids in crisis, and so, you know, kids on suicide watch and kids that went to group homes, and so over the years, we've had too many kids take their own lives. I can see their faces, you know, the times we spent with them, whether we knew they were suicidal or not, you know, some we did, some we didn't, but some fantastic, energetic and ambitious kids, you know, and, you know, sometimes it was out of the blue. Sometimes in retrospect, now you can think, yeah, I can see it now, where maybe in the moment I didn't know what to do, but now in retrospect, I could see that. Or sometimes the families really are blindsided, really just had no idea, and it's a shock. And there's a lot of regret there. There's a lot of weight of what we wished we had done as family members, as teachers, as friends. A lot of regret there, and a lot of wishes we could do things different. Today's not forever. It feels like it, and it feels like your life is just this big, and that's all you can see, you know? But there's just so much more out there. The known is so much smaller than the unknown, right? And so if all I know is this, and all I do is this, and all I count on is this, and all I immerse myself in is this, but that unknown is just so much bigger, right? There's just so much more out there to inspire you, engage with, to hope for. And it's hard. It's hard to say that to a kid that's struggling with those thoughts and those feelings. I guess anything I'm going to say is just going to sound a little too easy, but I think that's a good reminder, right? Today isn't forever. You know, it feels like it, but it's not. The other idea, I think, when you look at philosophy or theology, you examining the idea that you are not your thoughts. If we walked around acting on our thoughts, we would all be in big trouble. So we're not our thoughts. We can't be our thoughts, right? That thought is just a random thing. I don't know where it came from. The thought that I, want to go eat a donut after this, that just popped into my head, right? It's random and it's meaningless. It doesn't carry any weight, right? It's just, chocolate milk, I just thought of that. It's bizarre. I don't know how it works, just things pop in and they can pop out. And I think it's really important to understand that, right? We're not our thoughts. We don't have to act on them. They're not real often, right? We don't have to treat them as, accurate representations of our lives. And so when we do feel suicidal, when we do have a thought of self-harm or how bad things are, it's just a thought. It's a wave, right? It can go right in and right out, and we don't have to buy into it or believe it. I just think we've got to ask kids how they're doing and try to get them to talk real and understand how to sort out what's real and what's not real about their lives and the world that they're living in.
My first experience with, depression or self-doubt and wondering my self-worth was probably in middle school, about 14, 15 years old. And I was bullied. I was pretty severely. At the time, you're afraid and you don't say anything because you worry what other people will think or that it will make it worse. And so I kind of kept it to myself. The longer I endured it, the stronger it became, more prevalent and more effective internally to me. That carried with me for a long time. And growing up, there were things that would happen where I was told, don't cry because that's a weakness. Don't show someone that you're crying because, that's wrong. Or you shouldn't feel that way. You're always happy. You're the strong one. I've just carried that throughout my life since then. And looking back, I can see how much it truly affected me because that was kind of the catalyst to a lot of the issues I was dealing with internally that I didn't really say or express externally. When I was probably 18 and you're starting to become more of an adult, that was kind of when I took all those things that were affecting me inside. If I felt like I was gonna cry or show anything other than being happy or what I thought was my usual self, that was very hard because I felt like I had to hide it. I had to keep it under wraps and not tell anyone because there was a shame kind of attached to that because you think, well, what's wrong with me? Why do I feel sad? Should I feel sad given this situation? And I took it harder on myself, and so that's kind of when I began self-harming. I didn't want to have someone else hurt the way I was feeling, so I would put it on myself. It started really simple, and I don't even remember how or where I picked it up. I just remember I was completely feeling alone because I didn't have anyone to talk to about it because I thought, oh, I'm the only one dealing with this. It's not normal. It's not, my usual self. I don't know how to navigate through what I'm feeling. And so I had all these thoughts and feelings going through my head that I couldn't navigate through. And I felt like I had to do it by myself. That meant I was strong. I took it out on myself because I thought if I take it out on myself, then I'm not hurting the people I love. That's my way of connecting to how I was feeling. And it wasn't necessarily sometimes that I wanted to die, I was actually afraid to die, but I didn't want to exist anymore. And when I started figuring that out, it just snowballed into finding reasons not to exist, and I would go numb. One experience when I was at my lowest And it's kind of the catalyst to where I'm at now. When my mom died, my mom died 5 years ago, and we did everything together, and that was kind of the last hardest thing I've dealt with, because you go from having someone that you completely trusted with your life, with your feelings, with sharing those things with, to completely, they're gone. And that kind of threw me into a tailspin. What helped me was to be willing to open up and say, I'm not okay, and face that fear of rejection, because keeping it inside was killing me, literally. And to have someone care and someone say, you know, I don't understand it, but I'll just sit with you, or just to feel like there was someone on your side. When I was in that moment, the lowest I'd ever been, I looked in the mirror and everything, and I kept thinking, okay, I will live because I matter. I will stay because I'm important. I have worth. I am loved. I choose to stay. You have to defeat those demons in your mind however you can, positively. Someday it'll eventually hit you, whether it's depression or you deal with something hard. We're all gonna have those days. And I think the important thing to remember is there is a way out. You can't see it right now, but there is another side to it. Let people help you get to that side.